So another thing here that I wanted to address on the channel, I think this is a big one. I do not want it to get lost on anybody on my channel. I've talked about it a lot. I prefer to train, hunt, and handle male dogs, okay? Female dogs have proven to been problematic for me more than one time, okay? So more than one occasion, I've come across female dogs that I have had an excruciatingly difficult time getting them to comply, getting them to go ahead and do what I need them to do. With that being said, okay, so I want to make this extremely clear, all right? That does not mean that I have not successfully trained female dogs. That does not mean that I would not recommend a female dog. That does not mean that female dogs won't go. That does not mean that female dogs will not take off. It does not mean that female dogs will not slam trees. And if anybody has gathered that on my channel, I'm sorry for one that I have kind of let that be the going rate, right? My dog currently is a female dog, okay? All my dogs currently are female dogs. I have no male dogs on my yard currently, right? So I am not against female dogs, right? I am not against that. And I'm not recommending that you get a male instead of a female. I'm just saying for myself personally, I've experienced more issues out of a female dog than I have out of a male dog in the hunting department. Does that mean that I am right about and blanketing that on every dog, every female dog? Absolutely not. Female dogs are great dogs as well. A dog that will do its job is a great dog as well. And it's just kind of, I don't want that to get lost on anybody, and I want to make that very clear, right? I want to make that very clear. And I thought that if we're all being fair and understanding, that when I say those kind of things, that we're not taking that to an extreme level of, he says that female dogs have these issues. I have seen that issue in female dogs a lot more than male dogs. That does not mean that every single female dog that you will ever encounter is going to have that same type of issue. Does not mean that every female dog that I have encountered has an issue like that, right? So that is one big one that I kind of wanted to hammer down and nail out in this particular video, okay? So I kind of talked about staying on track, point A to point B thinking. That would be just kind of like completing a task. And I know we have all the letters of the alphabet, and we need to go from point A to point B, right? Point A to point B. We are not going to use up the whole alphabet in training. Point A to point B is the simplest, fastest, quickest, easiest straight line way to complete one process to the next. A to B thinking, okay? So that is just the easiest thing it needs to be done and accomplished here. And even though we don't need A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's too complicated. We need A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, and then we need to string a bunch of A, B's together, right? So it's a lot easier to accomplish an A, B task than it is the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, whatever task, right? So, and the whole realm of thinking that way, he put his nose on the ground, he barked. That's A, B. He found the tree, he barked up the tree. That's A, B. We knocked it down, the dog got after it. That's A, B thinking, right? That's an A, B process to think. It is an easy process to teach a dog, put its nose on the ground and track something. A, B, one and done. It's easy to get a dog to get on the tree and bark up the tree. Find the tree, A, B, one and done. And then the dog can go A, B, A, B, A. Oh, it's a very easy thinking process and training kind of process. And if you guys can understand that and wrap your guys' mind around that, it'll be so much easier for us to keep track of it, so much easier for the dog to keep track of when we're thinking about in a start and an end goal versus a start, everything in between, end, right? So we can string together a bunch of little chunks and it will flow exactly, if not better, as a one big giant line of action, 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 right? So it's easier to get A, B. And some dogs will be able to tackle the whole entire thing, A to B. And that's one thing that we can do. We can take a little A, B task and stretch it out to a bigger A, B task. You need to do this, and this is what happens. You need to do this, and this is what happens, okay? So it is A-B thinking. And the last one here that I'm going to talk about here is going to be the feed, okay? So every single time that I make a feed video, you guys are usually ecstatic about it. It goes pretty well over on YouTube, and it's just something that we have to be aware of. Okay, so I had one guy in particular ask me about a 24 20 feed protein fat ratio. Okay, so there is a lot of different reasons why different protein mixes and different fat ratios of dog feed is made. Okay, a 24-20 dog food for a couch potato athletic dog, right? So a dog that has no athletic ability, it's dull all the way down here, it's dull, it don't do nothing. Feeding it a high fat and protein diet like that, that dog is going to pack on the pounds, okay? It's going to pack on the pounds. Now, a dog on the other ticket of that, a dog that is just naturally high energy dog, a dog that is just naturally moving around constantly in the pen, constantly running around the yard, constantly being active, even when it's inactive, like not hunting. If it is a active dog while being inactive, then it should have a higher fat content to keep up with the energy that it just burns off in its natural state of being without being under the pressure of hunting as well. Okay, so another thing about feed, we have the higher protein, we have the lower fat, and I've talked about this a lot. We need to strike a balance for what our dog needs. And if our dog, okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. Let's take Tilly for example. Tilly is such a high strung dog, right? She is a very high strung dog. I kept weight on her just fine throughout the summer months. When the winter months kicked on and it got a little bit colder and she's out there and she's being active and she's shivering and she's being cold, or she's doing all this extra stuff, and then she has the added I'm burning the more fat to stay warm type of idea that you get in the wintertime. And it's not like I leave my dogs outside all day. They come in the house, right? They come in the house, they go in the cages. They're not sitting out there, shivering and shaking their bones off because they're not even out there that much. But just that added little bit of having to fight off that little bit of cold that she does fight off, I could not keep meat on her bones. I had to switch over to a dog food with a way higher fat content because that's the only way that she would keep meat on her bones. And it's not even like I fed her anymore. I just got a dog food that had a higher fat content, and it struck the balance back right, and now she's keeping the weight on her a little bit better with the colder weather. And it's just simple little things like that can adjust and tweak and help you along the way to understand and understand the way that those nuances work together, right? So I put her on a 30-20 puppy food that I found. It wasn't one that I made the videos about because I don't hunt my dogs enough to need a super good high quality feed like that to burn off. It would just do me more of a disservice with them having behavioral issues out here in the pen. So giving her on a decent puppy food with a high fat content, it put the weight back to where she needed to be at, and it also gave her that little bit of extra energy when I take her in the woods. She's moving around a lot better and things like that. So it just kind of helps to know what we need for our dog. It's not so the bag will say high energy. Okay, so we have two kind of thought processes behind high energy. There is a high energy dog food that is designed to give your dog high energy, right? There's a bag of dog food that is called high energy that is designed to give your dog energy. There is a bag of dog food that is called high energy that is designed to give your dog the nutrients that it needs because it is a high energy dog naturally. All right, if that makes sense. We have to watch that kind of idea. When we are looking at a bag of dog food, we need to know to be able to look at that protein and that fat ratio and go, that is called high energy because my dog is already a high energy dog and it needs this to feed this high energy. Or the ability to look at that bag and go, that protein fat mix ratio says high energy. I need to get that high energy to give to my dog so my dog's energy will go up. right? There's all these different facets when we're talking about nutrition, all these different facets when we're talking about all this kind of stuff. But you know what, guys? This has turned out to be a huge, very long hodgepodge video, tidbits video. Thank you all for tuning in. Y'all keep them treed, and Merry Christmas.